Hey, this is Bailey,
And I'm Timothy.
and welcome to What Sleep Podcast.
Let's get right into it.
Woo.
In this one, we're going to talk about Timothy Evans of Wales, England.
Okay,
So,
I've never actually heard of this one, so
well,
this will be interesting.
Yeah, just a little bit. Evans was a native of, I'm going to completely butcher this because I'm always bad with things, Merthyr, Tifl, and Glamorgan, Wales.
What?
Just a lot of random letters just thrown together.
Wait, where is it? Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Merthyr, Tidful, and Glamorgan.
Wales.
I don't know.
Yeah. His father, Daniel, abandoned the family in April 1924
Why?
before Evan's birth.
That's so sad.
Yeah. He did have an older sister, Eileen, born in 1921, and a younger half-sister, Maureen, who was born in September of 1929.
Okay.
So
They're kind of spread apart, too. That's what, 8 years difference in the last two?
yeah, his sisters were born 8 years apart, and he was born kind of in between both of them.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
he was
Okay.
1924.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry. His is when his dad left, but it was before he was born, so it's 1924, 1925 range.
Yeah.
Evans' mother remarried in September 1933.
Okay.
As a child, Evans had difficulty learning to speak and struggled at school following an accident when he was 8. Evans developed a tubercular verruca.
Okay.
I'm bad with words. On his right foot that never completely healed and caused him to miss considerable amounts of time from school for treatments.
On his foot?
Something
What
with
is
his foot. It's like this kind of like wart disease almost.
Okay.
Mainly a rash. It's also known as a prosector's wart.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's a common occupational disease for, prosectors and things like that.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. So he managed to get that on his foot, and he never completely healed. And like you said, it did cause him to miss lots of school just to try and get treatments and things like that, which really set him back in his education.
Yeah.
As a result, when he reached adulthood, Evans possessed low literacy skills, often needing others to read lengthy documents to him. Same. Although he did possess some ability to read simple passages, such as in comics, newspaper, football reports, and on his wages and receipts.
Okay. Oh, that sucks. Yeah.
I mean, he seems like he kind of knew enough to kind of get by a little bit, but, wasn't as good as it should have been for his age.
It's gotta be frustrating not knowing how to read, though,
Oh, 100%.
I don't know how I'd get through life.
I don't think, today you could, honestly.
I don't think so either. I mean, everything's so, social media or,
Just everything's so digital. I feel like you gotta learn how to read.
Especially this year, everything's digital, basically.
Been a crazy year, this one. He liked boxing and football, supporting Queen's Park Rangers, as did Christie. He was also prone to inventing stories about himself to boost his self-esteem, a trait that continued into adulthood and interfered with his efforts to establish credibility when dealing with the police and courts.
Oh, no.
So,
I see where this is. Okay.
Yeah.
I see where this is going.
In 1935, his mother and her second husband moved to London, and Evans worked as a painter and decorator while attending school.
Cute.
He returned to Tidful in 1937 and briefly worked in the coal mines, but had to resign because of continuing problems with his foot.
Right.
And in 1939, he returned to London to live again with his mother. And in 1946, they moved to St. Mark's Road, Notting Hill.
Is that, I assume that's England.
Yeah, still England.
Okay.
This was just over 2 minutes walk from 10 Rillington Place, his future residence after he married Evans.
Oh.
Or after he married. Evans was fined 60 shillings at West London Magistrates Court on the 25th of April, 1946 for stealing a car
What? Whoa.
and driving without insurance or a license.
Why did he steal a car?
No idea.
Okay.
Things he did kind of really went against him just in his younger life, which we'll get to. Some of the dumb stuff he did.
Yeah.
Right now, we're just going to get into, his married life.
Okay.
And things like that. Talk about his wife. On the 20th of September, 1947, Evans married Beryl Susanna Thorley, whom he had met in January 1947 on a blind date.
Aw. Do people do that anymore?
I think so. The couple initially lived with Evans's family at St. Mark's Road, but after Beryl discovered she was pregnant in 1948, they moved into the top floor flat at 10 Rillington Place in the Ladbroke Grove area of Notting Hill. Their neighbors in the ground floor flat were the serial killer John Christie.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fun little fact right there. Just casually. John Christie happened to live in the same building. I'd be afraid of
anybody that ever lived in that building. Like, to this day.
Oh, yeah. Then working as a post office clerk and his wife, Ethel Christie. Timothy's and Beryl's daughter, Geraldine, was born on the 10th of October, 1948. Their marriage was characterized by angry quarrels. Beryl was a poor housekeeper and incapable of managing the family's finances, while Timothy misspent his wages on alcohol, and his heavy drinking at the time exacerbated his already short temper.
Same. I don't have a short temper. I'm just depressed.
The arguments between Timothy and Beryl were loud enough to be heard by the neighbors, and physical violence between them was witnessed on several occasions. Yikes. So
that's really sad.
Yeah, not a particularly good marriage, but in 1949, Beryl revealed to Timothy that she was pregnant with their second child. Since the family was already struggling financially, Beryl decided to have an abortion. After some initial reluctance, Evans agreed to this course of action.
I mean, first of all, how does that happen in a relationship where you guys hate each other? Like, how do you just get
happens
pregnant?
Very often. I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess back in the day, it was like, around this time period, it was like super bad if you were to get divorced type of thing.
Yeah.
Like it was much more frowned upon. So several weeks later, on the 30th of November, 1949, Evans informed police that his wife had died in unusual circumstances.
What does that mean?
Well, his first confession was that he had accidentally killed her by giving her something in a bottle that a man had given him to abort the fetus.
Oh. Okay.
He had then disposed of her body in a sewer drain outside 10 Rillington Place.
Oh, no.
He told the police that after arranging for Geraldine to be looked after, he had gone to Wales. When police examined the drain outside the front of the building, however, they found nothing, and furthermore discovered that the manhole cover required the combined strength of 3 officers to remove it.
So, okay. Okay. Wait, so he called the police to confess that she had accidentally died, or that he had accidentally killed her?
That she died of unusual circumstances. And then his first confession was that he had accidentally killed her by giving her something in a bottle. That somebody said really would abort the fetus. But then when they went to go look where he said, they found nothing.
Why would he? Okay.
I mean, it's not unusual to have, fake confessions, but...
Yeah, but that, like...
I don't know why, but he did. He was also
committed a crime or something. Most people wouldn't make a fake confession, even.
Well, it also, he did lie a lot.
Yeah. Okay. I guess.
So I don't know. Pathological liar. Who knows? When he was re-questioned, Evans changed his story and said that Christie had offered to perform an abortion on Beryl. Evans stated that he had left Christie out of his first statement in order to protect him, abortion being illegal in the UK at the time.
Yeah.
After some deliberation between Evans and his wife, they had both agreed to take up Christie's offer. On the 8th of November, Evans had returned home from work to be informed by Christie that the abortion had not worked and that Beryl was dead. Yeah. Christie had said that he would dispose of the body and would make arrangements for a couple from East Acton to look after Geraldine. He said that Evans should leave London for the meantime. On the 14th of November, Evans left for Wales to stay with relatives. Evans said he later returned to 10 Rillington Place to ask about Geraldine, but Christie had refused to let him see her.
All right. Okay. What?
Yeah. Just... he was trying to save him, and then he also name dropped him, and I don't know. It's just really weird.
I feel like this is a combination of a couple of idiots that accidentally killed her.
Yes.
And didn't know like how to logically deal with that.
I mean, it's what it sounded like.
All right. Okay.
In response to Evans's second statement, the police performed a preliminary search of 10 Rillington Place, but did not uncover anything incriminating, despite the presence of a human thigh bone supporting a fence post in the tiny garden.
What?
Yeah. Just a random human thigh bone to prop up a fence.
This is going 10 different directions.
Isn't it?
And I don't understand.
It's pretty wild, honestly. I just like how nothing came of that. Though.
And also nothing came of that. Whose thigh bone was that? What? Where did it come from?
Who knows, man? But on a more thorough search on the 2nd of December, the police found the body of Beryl Evans wrapped in a tablecloth in the wash house in the back garden. Access to the locked wash house was only possible by using a knife kept by Miss Christie. Significantly, the body of Geraldine was also found alongside Beryl's body.
Wait, his daughter?
Mm-hmm. Evans had not mentioned he had killed his daughter in either of his statements. Beryl and Geraldine had both been strangled.
What happened? I'm so confused.
Yep. This case is just like constant.
So what happened to the little girl?
According to evidence, she was strangled.
All right. Okay. I'll ask my questions.
Although they examined the garden, the police did not find traces of the skeletal remains of 2 prior victims of Christie, despite their shallow burial. Christie actually removed the skull of Miss Edie when his dog dug it up from the garden around this time, and he disposed of it in a bombed-out building nearby.
What? Okay.
This vital clue was ignored when the skull was then discovered by children playing in the ruins and handed in to police.
Wow.
So, again,
wow,
just mishandling of evidence by the police. When Evans was shown the clothing taken from the bodies of his wife and child, he was also informed that both had been strangled. This was, according to Evans' statement, the first occasion in which he was informed that his baby daughter had been killed.
Right.
He was asked whether he was responsible for their deaths.
Right. What did he say?
To this, Evans apparently responded, yes.
Okay.
He then apparently confessed to having strangled Beryl during an argument over debts and strangling Geraldine 2 days later, after which he left for Wales.
Why? That didn't need to happen.
Yeah.
Bro, like, okay, how old was Geraldine?
Believe she was still like really young.
Yeah. Probably not old enough to, like, obviously seeing your mother getting strangled is gonna have an effect on you, but not so much that like you can't move forward from that. Why did he have to kill her?
Well, I don't know. He just did, apparently.
What a psycho.
Yeah. This confession, along with other contradictory statements Evans made during the police interrogation, have been cited as proof of his guilt. Several authors who have written about the case have argued that the police provided Evans with all the necessary details for him to make a plausible confession, which they may have in turn edited further while transcribing it.
Like they were feeding him the evidence to get the confession?
Essentially.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, okay.
Which, according to them, they edited, the transcription.
Yeah, to make it sound like he was confessing
that's
as a
one
murderer.
Thing. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Furthermore, the police interrogated Evans over the course of late evening and early morning hours to his physical and emotional detriment, a man already in a highly emotional state.
Oh, yeah.
Evans later stated in court that he thought he would be subjected to violence by the police if he didn't confess.
That's happened before, yeah.
And this fear, along with the shock of discovering that both his wife and daughter had been strangled, likely inducing him to make a false confession.
Yeah.
The police investigation was marred by a lack of forensic expertise, with significant evidence overlooked. The psychology of interrogations and confessions states that that some of the phraseology of the confessions seemed more in line with language a police officer might use, rather than that used by an illiterate man as Evans was.
Right, yeah.
Evans was kept in solitary confinement for 2 days before being handed over to the London police.
Solitary should be abolished.
Well,
it's inhumane. Anyway.
I mean, so is murdering your wife and child.
That is, but you're feeding me these facts that tell me that.
I'm just saying.
This is a making a murderer situation. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm. So.
I hate that thing.
It's pretty much like that, honestly.
Oh, no.
So prepare your butt.
Oh no. All right. That whole series infuriated me, and I feel this is going to infuriate me as well.
Oh, yeah.
So let's do it.
Just wait. He did not know what was happening other than his wife's body had not been found in the drain as expected.
Mm-hmm.
At Notting Hill police station, he was shown his wife's and daughter's clothing and the ligature which had been used to strangle his daughter.
That's so sad.
His book cites Kennedy as a source for the conclusion that Evans felt tremendous guilt over not doing more to prevent the deaths of his wife and daughter. In particular, that his daughter's murder must have been a tremendous shock.
Yeah. He probably felt like he deserved being tried for their murders.
Even though he
didn't
didn't do it.
Maybe, yeah. Probably. I don't know.
But unfortunately, Evans was put on trial for the murder of his daughter on the 11th of January, 1950. In accordance with legal practice at the time, the prosecution proceeded only with a single charge of murder, that concerning Geraldine. Beryl's murder, with which Evans was still formally charged, was not formally before the court, though evidence that he had murdered Beryl was used with the aim of establishing Evans' guilt of the murder of Geraldine.
So they could only try him for one murder?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, why?
I guess this is how it worked back then. And, you know, it being a child, that's a harsher sentence than the mother.
Yeah, I guess I know that, like, some cases these days, like, they want to try for, even if it's, like, a multiple murder, they still want to put you away for the most likely murder that you, like, the one that they have, like, the most evidence for, to make sure that they get you, because I think there's, like, the whole
they can only try you once, too, per thing. So they probably tried him on that, and in case that didn't stick, then they had a second one to try him for, type of thing.
That makes sense. Okay.
Evans was represented by Malcolm Morris. He withdrew his confession during consultations with his solicitor and alleged that Christie was responsible for the murders in accordance with his second statement given to the police. Although this allegation was dismissed by the court as fantastic, and Evans' solicitors had also warned him that it was difficult to prove, Evans maintained this defense until his execution. It was subsequently found that Christie, not Evans, was responsible.
Christie. Wait, who's Christie?
The downstairs neighbor.
Wait, Christie did it? Wait, so he was executed.
Yep, he was tried and executed for the murder of his wife and daughter.
And then they found out that his serial killer downstairs neighbor is the one that killed them.
Yep, after like a little bit, but
like, okay, I know that forensic technology wasn't a big as strong as it is these days, but come on.
Well,
unless it's without a shadow of a doubt, you cannot run with just a confession that has been fed to your suspect.
Yeah, well,
that's horrifying.
Yep. Well, we'll get more into this. Christie and his wife Ethel were key witnesses for the prosecution.
Okay.
So the ones who actually did it were key witnesses to put him to death. Christie denied that he had offered to abort Beryl's unborn child and gave detailed evidence about the quarrels between Evans and his wife.
Of course he did.
The defense sought to show that Christie was the murderer, highlighting his past criminal record. Christie had previous convictions for several thefts and for malicious wounding. The latter case involved Christie striking a woman on the head with a cricket bat. But his apparent reform and his service with the police as a special constable may have impressed the jury. The defense also could not find a motive for which a respected person like Christie would murder two people, whereas the prosecution could use the explanation in Evans's confession as Evans' motive.
So, do you have like I need some more background on Christie.
I could pull him up more.
Like, how many people did he kill? Because I'm interested in that too. You'll have to do like a part 2 on this case.
Because he's got about 8 known victims.
Yeah. Oh, 8 known victims.
Mm-hmm. So
part 2 coming soon.
This might be a 2-parter, so we'll see what happens. Could go into more detail about him.
I need to know. That's wild.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I cannot believe. All right, sorry. Did they ever get in trouble after the fact for not looking into Christie or like executing an innocent man?
Rarely happens. They're just like, oh well, because if you think about it, the jury is the one that kind of convicts them of it.
I think it can be overruled by the judge.
Yeah, but he was already executed by the point that they figured this out.
There's got to be some sort of, I don't know, at least reform of some kind for laws. There probably has been. This probably.
I mean, I wouldn't know UK law, but
I don't either. I don't know. This is horrible.
Yeah. Unlike Christie, Evans had no previous convictions for violence, but his conflicting statements undermine his credibility.
Yeah.
Had the police conducted a thorough search of the garden and found the bones of 2 previous victims of Christie.
Also the one holding up the fence.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
One of his victims. The trial of Evans might not have occurred at all. But we all know how the police do in these situations. The case largely came down to Christie's word against Evans, and the courts of the trial turned against Evans. The trial lasted only 3 days, and much key evidence was omitted or never shown to the jury.
Why?
Because why not? Evans was found guilty, the jury taking just 40 minutes to come to his decision.
Wow.
After a failed appeal held before the Lord Chief Justice, Lord Goddard, Mr. Justice Sellers, and Mr. Justice Humphreys on the 20th of February, Evans was hanged on the 9th of March, 1950.
It's not even a fast death.
Yep.
That's really sad.
Fun stuff.
No.
The safety of Evans' conviction was severely criticized when Christie's murders were discovered 3 years later.
I'm enraged.
During interviews with police and psychiatrists prior to his execution, Christie admitted several times that he had been responsible for the murder of Beryl Evans. So,
and that's just a slap in the face to the police from just one of those other things, because a lot of serial killers are very narcissistic. So he probably enjoyed that so much.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Oh, guess what? That case that you guys killed a guy for, haha, it wasn't him. I did it.
LOL JK.
I done it. Man.
Yup. If these confessions were true, Evans' second statement detailing Christie's offer to abort Beryl's baby is likely to be the true version of events that took place at Rillington Place.
I believe it.
Ludovic Kennedy provided one possible reconstruction of how the murder took place, surmising that an unsuspecting Beryl let Christie into her flat, expecting the abortion to be carried out, but was instead attacked and then strangled. Christie claimed to have possibly engaged in sexual intercourse with Beryl's body after her death. He claimed to be unable to remember the precise details, but her post-mortem had failed to uncover evidence of sexual intercourse.
What a sicko.
Yeah. In his confessions to Beryl's death, Christie denied he had agreed to carry out an abortion on Beryl. He instead claimed to have strangled her while being intimate with her, or that she wanted to commit suicide and he helped her to do so.
Okay, sure, buddy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay.
One important fact was not brought up in Evans' trial. 2 workmen were willing to testify that there were no bodies in the wash house when they worked there several days after Evans supposedly hid them. They stored their tools in the washroom and cleaned it out completely when they finished their work on the 11th of November.
Mm-hmm.
Their evidence in itself would have raised doubts of the veracity of Evans' alleged confessions, but the workmen were not called to give evidence.
Yeah, it's like you should explore every avenue and every piece of detail.
I feel like they
evidence.
just wanted to get it in and out.
Because that's what happens when, somebody feels that they need to confess to something. Things get messed up. Things get overlooked. They start diving into this wrong path.
But here's the messed up part. The police re-interviewed the workmen and forced them to change their evidence to fit the preconceived idea that Evans was the sole murderer.
All right. I'm done.
Yeah.
This sucks.
Everything was just against Evans.
What is wrong with these people?
I don't know, but it was just
Why are you a cop or an investigator if you don't even want to do your job? I
don't know, man. I don't know. The murderer, Christie, would have hidden the bodies of Beryl and Geraldine in the temporarily vacant first floor flat and then moved them to the wash house 4 days later when the workmen had finished.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, just you got to get out of town for a little bit. It's fine. I'll take care of Geraldine. Whatever. We'll take care of it.
Wink, wink.
Wank, not
wank. Don't do that.
Whack.
I mean, he probably did that, but. So 3 years later, Christie vacated his premises at 10 Rillington Place, and the landlord allowed an upstairs tenant, who was known as Beresford Brown, to use Christie's kitchen. Brown found the bodies of 3 women,
Whoa.
Kathleen Maloney, Rita Nelson, and Hectorina McLennan, hidden in a papered over kitchen pantry, a recess immediately next to the wash house where Beryl and Geraldine Evans had been found.
What?
A further search of the building and grounds turned up 3 more bodies. Christie's wife, Ethel, under the floorboards of the front room.
His wife?
Yep, his wife. Ruth First, an Austrian nurse and munitions worker, and Muriel Eady, a former colleague of Christie, who were both buried in the right-hand side of the small back garden of the building.
What does this dude look like? How did he get these women to his house?
I mean,
what?
So if we, kind of rewind back to our very first case of Belle Guinness.
I don't understand.
So I don't know, man.
I don't get it.
But, for those listening and not on our Instagram right now, the picture we're looking at right now of Mr. Christie, he's wearing glasses. Mr. Krusty. He kind of looks like Megamind a little bit.
That's an insult to Megamind. Where are his lamps?
But yeah, he's wearing glasses. He has a very far receded hairline, wearing, a suit.
He's crusty.
He's older.
Let me see. Ew. Oh my god.
He's got like murderer eyes.
Dude,
let's be honest.
Scary. I would not go near him. Like even a little bit. He's got the same face in all of his 3 pictures. That's horrifying.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I don't like that. All right. We're gonna close that tab is what we're gonna do.
So yeah, Christie had even used one of their thigh bones to prop up a trellis in the garden, which the police had missed in their earlier searches of the property.
I don't understand. I really don't.
Yeah, well, Christie was arrested on the 31st of March, 1953, on the embankment near Putney Bridge, and during the course of interrogation, confessed 4 separate times to killing Beryl Evans. He never admitted to killing Geraldine Evans, however. He confessed. But I mean, more than likely he did if he killed her. He confessed to murdering Forrest and Eady, saying he had stored their bodies in the washroom before burying them in shallow graves in the garden. It was in the same washroom that the bodies of Beryl and Geraldine Evans had been found during the investigation into their murders. So he definitely killed Geraldine. I don't know why he wouldn't just confess to it at that point. At this point,
because he's a narcissist and he's like, you're never going to get that on me. You're never gonna.
It was like he literally confessed to 6 others.
Yeah, but he's a narcissist and he wants to have power over something.
Yeah, I guess.
That's how they do it, and it's sick. I hate this guy.
Yeah, well, good news. Christie was found guilty of murdering his wife and was hanged on the 15th of July, 1953.
Good.
The same hangman who actually had executed Evans 3 years prior.
That's not his fault. He.
Yeah.
It wasn't that guy's fault.
I'm just saying, it just happened to be the same guy.
Yeah. I mean, how many guys do you have for that? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
It probably doesn't happen a whole lot. Executions.
Maybe.
Just get him called up one day. He's probably like some intern of some sort.
Could you imagine being an intern for
drawing
executions?
Straws, and he drew both of the short straws for both of those cases.
That's ridiculous.
Oh my god.
Because Christie's crimes raised doubts about Evans' guilt in the murders of his wife and daughter, the serving home secretary, David Maxwell Fife, commissioned an inquiry to investigate the possibility of a miscarriage of justice.
Oh, the possibility.
The possibility.
You killed a dude.
It was chaired by the recorder of Portsmouth, John Scott Henderson. The inquiry ran for 1 week, and its findings upheld Evans' guilt in both murders with the explanation that Christie's confessions of murdering Beryl Evans was unreliable because they were made in the context of supporting his defense that he was insane. The conclusion was met with skepticism by the press and the public alike. If Christie's confessions were unreliable, why should those of Evans be acceptable?
Right.
And let alone, I don't know, the bodies were found in his flat.
Why are you so stupid? What? Every person attached to this case is a really stupid human being and needs to go back to school. They need to have their licenses revoked.
Well,
I don't understand.
I don't either. It just is what it is at this point, but
yeah, I mean, you can't undead somebody yet.
Let's not make zombies. The inquiry ignored vital evidence and led to more questions in Parliament, especially from Geoffrey Byng, Reginald Paget, and Sidney Silverman. The controversy was to continue until it led eventually to the exculpation of Evans and a declaration of his innocence of the murder of both his wife and his daughter.
I mean, at least there's that, but it doesn't fix it.
It doesn't at all, but... The murder of Beryl Evans was never a primary charge in the trials of either Evans or Christie. The former had been charged with the murder of his daughter and the latter with the murder of Miss Christie. Hence, questions that went to the murder of Miss Evans were not those with which the trials were especially concerned. When Christie was later the subject of the Scott Henderson inquiry, questions drafted by a solicitor representing Evans' mother were deemed not relevant, and Scott Henderson retained the right of deciding if they could be asked.
Okay, that was horrible.
But in 1955, David Astor, editor of The Observer, Ian Gilmore, editor of The Spectator, John Grigg, editor of the National and English Review, and Sir Linton Andrews, editor of the Yorkshire Post, formed a delegation to petition the Home Secretary for a new inquiry because of their dissatisfaction with the conclusions of the Scott Henderson inquiry.
Yeah.
In the same year, barrister Michael Eddowes examined the case and wrote the book The Man on Your Conscience, which argued that Evans could not have been the killer on the basis that if he were, there were a number of extraordinary coincidences with his crimes, and Christie's, most notably that two strangler murderers, who both used a ligature to kill their victims, had been living in the same property at the same time unknown to each other.
Yeah, especially unknown to each other, I feel like. I mean, it's not impossible, but like...
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's like a bad TV show plot, you know what I mean? Like some sort of really messed up situational comedy of
what happened with that?
Kind of skirting around each other, like giant trash bag with a body in it. You gotta like hide it from your like, hey neighbor, and you guys are like hiding the bodies.
Well, it kind of reminds me of that one couple. I can't remember their name, but they kind of grew up together and they kind of realized that they were both just really like disgusting human beings and wanted to murder people. Like they both look like they took a shoe to the face. Are you talking about the
Morris murders? No.
No.
Because they met in the...
I can't remember their name right now.
I don't know.
But we should do a case on them too.
Okay.
Once we can remember their name. Because the woman looks like she literally took a frying pan to the face.
I don't know.
But yeah, anyways. Another time. we'll get into those people.
All right.
Television journalist Ludovic Kennedy's book, 10 Rillington Place, criticized the police investigation and evidence submitted at the 1950 trial in which Evans was found guilty.
I also criticize it.
Me too. This produced another parliamentary debate in 1961, but still no second inquiry.
Okay.
Yeah. They were just like, whatever at this point. Whoops.
I'm so mad.
In 1965, Liberal Party politician Herbert Wolfe of Darlington, County Durham, contacted Harold Evans, then editor of the Northern Echo. He and Kennedy formed the Timothy Evans Committee. The result of a prolonged campaign was that the Home Secretary, Sir Frank Soskis, ordered a new inquiry chaired by High Court Judge Sir Daniel Brabin in 1965 to 66. Brabin found it was, quote, more probable than not that Evans murdered his wife and that he did not murder his daughter. This was contrary to the prosecution case in Evans's trial, which held that both murders had been committed by the same person as a single act.
So where are they pulling these facts out of? Because
they're not. They're just like, this is what it is. Now get out of my face.
This is what it is, even if it's completely and entirely wrong. Like, I'm smart, you're not. I'm the one that's got the decision here.
Right.
Like,
I mean, like, even then, like, the victim's body had been found together literally in the same location and murdered in the same exact way.
Yeah, same manner of death. Like,
yeah. So,
by a known serial killer that you guys, I guess, I mean, not known at the time, but
yeah, but for whatever reason, they're trying to make him innocent.
I think they're trying to save face.
What I think, yeah, like what they're doing, they're just trying to make it seem as though their original decision was the correct one.
It wasn't.
They don't want to make it seem like they were in the wrong.
Everybody knows it. I don't understand.
Yeah. Brabin went to great lengths to prefer police evidence wherever possible and exonerate them of any police misconduct. And he did not address the allegations made by Kennedy about the validity of several of the confessions allegedly made by Evans.
Okay.
He also did not consider the incompetence of the police in their searches of the garden at Rillington Place. The inquiry did little to settle the many issues which arose from the case, but by exonerating Evans of killing his child was crucial in subsequent events. Since Evans had only been convicted of the murder of his daughter, Roy Jenkins, Soska's successor as Home Secretary, recommended a royal pardon for Evans, which was granted in October 1966.
Okay, great.
In 1965, Evans's remains were exhumed from Pentonville Prison and reburied in St. Patrick's Roman Catholic Cemetery in Leytonstone, Greater London. The outcry over the Evans case contributed to the suspicion and then abolition of capital punishment in the United Kingdom.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because something had to happen.
Yeah. So here's a picture of his grave. He died at age 25.
I'll be 25 in like 8 months.
My favorite part, though, it says, in memory of Timothy John Evans, died 9th of March, 1950, age 25. Then it just goes, RIP at the bottom. Yeah. That's it.
I mean, letters cost money, and they messed up, but they're
not going to pay for it.
They're not going to pay for anything more than RIP. Like, sorry.
Right.
Oh, my God.
In January 2003, the Home Office awarded Timothy Evans' half-sister, Mary Westlake, and his sister, Eileen Ashby, ex gratia payments as compensation for the miscarriage of justice in Evans' trial. The independent assessor for the Home Office, Lord Brennan, accepted that, quote, the conviction and execution of Timothy Evans for the murder of his child was wrongful and a miscarriage of justice.
Yeah.
And that there is no evidence to implicate Timothy Evans in the murder of his wife. She was most probably murdered by Christie. Lord Brennan believed that the Brabham Report's conclusion that Evans probably murdered his wife should be rejected given Christie's confessions and conviction. On the 16th of November 2004, Westlake began an application for judicial review in the High Court, challenging a decision by the Criminal Cases Review Commission not to refer Evans' case to the Court of Appeal and to have his conviction formally quashed.
Good.
She argued that Evans' pardon had not formally expunged his conviction of murdering his daughter. And
You've tarnished this man.
Exactly.
Like,
and although the Brabham Report had concluded that Evans probably did not kill his daughter, it had not declared him innocent. The report...
I mean, okay. All right. There's a lot of really big screw-ups in this case, but there isn't anything to say that he wasn't aware. Because also, like, there is the whole self-destructive train of thought of my wife and daughter were killed and I could have done something else to stop it. But there's also the train of thought of, like, what if he did know what happened to his wife and daughter and went the route of pretty much, like, you know, death or suicide by cop or whatever, you know what I mean?
Maybe.
And, like, confessed to it anyway. But it still doesn't warrant either way. It still doesn't warrant execution.
One thing I wonder is if, you know, Evans and his wife kind of had one of their, you know, spouting matches.
Okay.
And, you know, he stormed off, she stormed off, yada, yada, yada. And that's when Christie made the move.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's possible too.
And then killed them, hid them. And he was probably at the house thinking, you know, where are they at, yada, yada. So then he was like, you know what, I'm going to leave town for a bit type of thing.
Yeah, I mean,
like feeling guilt about it. And so he probably left and then came back. And that's when he got the news. Oh, yeah, so you're dead.
Yeah. I mean, there's many different ways this could have happened. And unfortunately, the investigators didn't take the time to investigate. Or look into any of those possibilities.
100%.
So now we'll never know.
Now we'll never know what happened, really.
I got my tiny little Arthur in his hoodie, small hands shaking right now.
Most, like, visual meme you're talking about. Anyway. Good one, though. Mood throughout the whole case. Yeah. The report also contained the devastating conclusion that Evans had probably killed his wife. The request to refer the case was dismissed on 19th of November 2004, with the judges saying that the cost and resources of quashing the conviction could not be justified.
Okay, sure.
Although they did accept that Evans did not murder either his wife or his child.
You know what also
how expensive is just changing a report?
It probably costs, like, literally the time that is paid to the employee that's working there. That's probably all it costs.
Honestly, probably.
Genuinely. You could probably write that off on something. Like, they are just trying to save face and make it not an official thing that they messed up.
Oh,
and I'm infuriated.
Yep. But that right there is the gross injustice of Timothy Evans.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it's going to be a segue into part 2 where we go into further depth with Christy.
I need to know. What did he do?
Everything.
What a wild man.
But I do hope you guys enjoyed this episode and this just infuriating case of police misconduct and just ineptitude, things like that.
Animals.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, anywhere you'd like. You can find us on all of those platforms at What Sleep Podcast. Twitter at What Sleep Pod because they're annoying. We also do have a YouTube channel where we do upload all of our episodes. So feel free to like and subscribe and leave comments because we do read them all. And I do try my best to reply to you guys. So be sure to do that. And check out our website where we have our entire listing of everywhere you can find our podcast. And you can also share it with all your friends and family. And big news, we also finally opened up our very own storefront.
Heck yeah.
With tons more merch for you guys.
So
we still have the ones on Etsy.
Okay, yeah.
Just because we have those in stock. But for, the time being, the rest of the merch will be on teespring.com/whatsleep.
And of that merch, we have our t-shirts. We've got sweaters now.
We have hoodies, zip-up hoodies. We got mugs.
We have mugs, you guys.
We have mugs.
I have a stupid amount of mugs in my cabinet. Like, I literally have a whole shelf in my kitchen dedicated to all of my mugs. And guess what's going there soon? It's a What Sleep mug.
Hey. We even have phone cases. So we have iPhone and Samsung devices. So be sure to check all that good stuff out. We also have a Patreon where you can subscribe to our $5 tier and directly support the podcast every month. And you'll also get 15% off your entire purchase on our Teespring. So that's a pretty good deal.
Okay.
So be sure to check that out. Feel free to subscribe on there to directly support us even further. And with that, we'll go ahead and end the episode here.
We appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week.
See you in the next episode.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Bye. Bye.